Hello and welcome to the news on NTA International, reaching you live from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. My name is Justin Bemunyi and Taiwo Zama is a sign language interpreter. First, let's look at the headlines. President Tinubu meets members of Nigeria's 9th National Assembly just as he assents to constitutional amendment bill on uniformity in retirement age of judicial officers. Correspondent takes a look at need for optimum use of the ocean as world marks the day. Plus, attack on Ukraine dam elicits global concern. Once again, thank you so much for joining us. Now, President Bola Tinubu has met with members of the 9th Assembly. President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, and Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila led members to the meeting. Some state governors also attended the meeting held behind closed doors at the conference center of the State House, Abuja. Details of discussions at the meeting were not made public. And in exercising the powers vested in him under 1999 Constitution as amended, President Bola Tinubu on Thursday at the State House assented to a fresh amendment of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. A release by Director of Information Abiodun Oladun Joye says President Tinubu signed into law the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 Fifth Alteration number 37, 2023. Presented by the outgoing 9th National Assembly. With the signing of the Constitutional Amendment Bill, retirement age and pension rights of judicial officers have been effectively brought into uniformity and other related matters. While signing the Amendment Bill into law, President Tinubu pledged his administration's dedication to strengthening the judiciary, ensuring the rule of law, and empowering judicial officers to execute their responsibilities effectively. A secretary to the government of the Federation, George Akume, says the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will work for a more united Nigeria that will project the nation's diversity as a source of strength. Now, receiving a delegation of North Central Governors Forum led by its chairman, Governor Abdullahi Sule of Nasarawa State, on solidarity visit in his office, George Akume urged Nigerians to keep faith with the federal government to deliver the dividends of democracy across geopolitical zones. The delegation included governors of Plateau, Benue, Kogi, Kwara, and the Deputy Governor of Niger State.
My brother governors from the North Central Zone, in their wisdom, they decided to play this courtesy call on one of their own. I feel very, very delighted.
We believe and we feel, as the governors, we must come united from the North Central and continue to support our leader. So we came to congratulate him first, to encourage him to do the best he can for the nation and for every one of us.
And the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB, says it has rolled out modalities to absorb returnee students from war-torn countries into Nigerian universities. The modalities are follow-ups to the high-level meeting between the Federal Ministry of Education, Federal Ministry of Health, JAMB, Nigerian Diaspora Commission, NITCOM, National Universities Commission, NUC, and other critical stakeholders on the integration of returnee Nigerian students from war-torn countries into the nation's tertiary education system. The Registrar JAMB, Professor Ishaq Oloyede, while presenting the modalities at a virtual meeting, says it is imperative to hold talks with the Vice-Chancellors following the peculiarities of each university and the variation in the responses received from them on the matter. He notes that the emergency meeting is to fashion out uniform standards and minimum acceptable benchmarks for the proposed absorption in line with global best practices. And the United States aid agency said on Thursday that it had suspended food assistance to Ethiopia because its donations were being diverted from people in need. A spokesperson for the agency said after a countrywide review, U.S. aid determined in coordination with the government of Ethiopia that a widespread and coordinated campaign is diverting food assistance from the people of Ethiopia. It said the agency made the difficult but necessary decision that it cannot move forward with distribution of food assistance until reforms are in place. Now, Home Affairs ministers from the European Union's 27 member states gathered on Thursday to try to get across the line an elusive agreement on how to share out the responsibility of caring for refugees and migrants. A tentative deal on the table comes after years of damaging feuds between EU states since their cooperation collapsed in acrimony in 2015 as more than 1 million people, mostly fleeing the war in Syria, arrived across the Mediterranean. The expected agreement would allow countries unwilling to receive irregular migrants and refugees arriving ad hoc to Europe to instead help their hosting peers through cash, equipment, or personnel. In other news, Pope Francis underwent hernia abdominal surgical procedure in Rome. His surgeon, Sergio Alfieri, said the procedure was without issues and the pontiff has begun his recovery time at the hospital. Now, Kolo Mohammed tells us more.
Concerns for the 86-year-old pontiff's health has been revived, as according to his surgeon, Sergio Alfieri, the surgery and anesthesia took place with no complications, assuring that Pope Francis is awake and had cracked jokes after the surgical procedure.
The surgical operation and the general anesthesia were well tolerated by the Pope. Now he's awake, he's fine, and he's already at work.
The clear signs that the surgery was successful is that the pontiff did not lose his sense of humor as he cracked jokes soon after the procedure. Well-wishers lined the hospital environment in hopes and prayer for the success of the procedure, wishing the pontiff swift recovery.
It remains to be seen how quickly he, as a man of 86 years, with some other health issues, can fully recover.
Obviously, we pray for him and hope for his quick recovery.
Abdominal pains and complications is said to have compelled the Pope to use the wheelchair. Kolo Muhammad, NTA News.
And a major attack on a dam in Kherson, Ukraine, has renewed global concern on the goings-on since Russia invaded Ukraine last year. And Kolo Muhammad again tells us more.
Moscow accused Kyiv at the UN's top court Thursday of destroying a dam in Russian-held southern Ukraine with massive artillery strikes, rejecting Ukraine's claims that Russia was responsible. Russian diplomat Alexander Shulgin told the International Court of Justice ICJ in The Hague that the Kyiv regime not only launched massive artillery attacks against the dam on the night of June 6th, but also deliberately raised the water level of the reservoir. The attack on the dam caused it to collapse, releasing its content, put at around 18 billion cubic feet, onto residential lands, causing massive flooding that saw thousands being evacuated in an emergency move, including animals. Kyiv, however, maintains that Moscow was responsible for the attack that led to the collapse of the dam, as Moscow has targeted critical infrastructure before now, including nuclear power plants, in order to drive Ukraine into submission. 5 lives are said to have been lost in the flooding. This dam attack, Ukraine said, was part of the major crimes Russia has been trying to use in winning this war. The United Kingdom, however, said it was waiting for complete details of the actions leading up to the attack on the dam to decide its next line of action, while the U.S. president pledged absolute support to to the victims of flooding emanating from the disaster leading to the collapse of the dam. Kolo Muhammad, NTA News.
Now, the world must work together to create a new balance with the ocean that no longer depletes its bounty, but rather restores its vibrancy and brings it new life. Now, this, the United Nations says, is a task that must be fulfilled as the global community marks Oceans Day this year. Onenge Finefish brings us this report.
Oceans cover over 70% of the planet, produce at least 50% of the planet's oxygen, provide protein for more than 1 billion people, host most of Earth's biodiversity, and provide jobs for an estimated 40 million people. Although the ocean serves as life source supporting the sustenance of humanity, it receives very little attention from people across the world. But tides are changing, this being the focus of the commemoration of World Oceans Day 2023.
But this year's World Oceans Day reminds us that the tides are changing. Last year, we adopted an ambitious global target to conserve and manage 30% of land and marine and coastal areas by 2030, as well as a landmark agreement on fisheries subsidies. Realizing the great promise of these initiatives requires collective commitment. Sustainable Development Goal 14, to conserve and sustainably use the ocean resources, hangs in the balance. This World Oceans Day, let's keep pushing for action. Today and every day, let's put the ocean first.
In celebrating Oceans Day this year, the United Nations is joining forces with decision makers, scientists, the private sector, indigenous people, and civil society to put the health of the ocean first, especially by keeping it clean and exploiting its resources with a sense of responsibility. The ocean provides countless benefits for humanity. On World Oceans Day, it is time to follow the changing tide to support the ocean. Onengiye Fineface, NTA News.
And now to shed more light on the issues raised on 2023 World Ocean Day celebration is an environmentalist, Air Vice Marshal Kenneth Iyamo. Glad to have you join us on the news on NTA International.
Thank you very much for having me.
Now, looking at the theme of the 2023 World Ocean Day, Planet Ocean, can you tell us why the ocean is addressed here as a planet?
Well, the World Ocean Day came to be in 1992 at Rio de Janeiro, and it has, with the sole aim of unifying the world against in the use of ocean resources to protect the blue planet. Now, the blue economy has become very, very important. What is the blue economy? The blue economy is the sustainable use and preservation of ocean, marine, and other resources to meet food security, to meet job creation, above other things. Now, why do we need to understand the ocean? We need to understand the ocean because we have to know how we interact with it and how it interacts with us, so that we'll be able to know how we can use it to create job, to use it to give air, then use it for food security and everything. Because as we stand here now, 80% of the world goods move through the ocean, and 80% of the ocean are still uncharted. So because these data are not available, it becomes very, very difficult to be able to do what we need to do with the ocean. If you bring it back to Nigeria, you see the fisheries, the marine contribute 1.6% of the GDP, while the fisheries contribute 3.5% of the GDP. So that becomes very, very elaborate, that we have to continuously relate with it.
Yeah, you just pointed out that, research says the ocean covers a vast majority of the earth, but only a small portion has been explored. Does this suggest underusage of the ocean, or what?
Well, it's not underusage. It just shows that the world have not really given the desired attention to it. Now, the value from the ocean is so enormous. It's so enormous. Like if you go ahead, you see that 3 billion people of the world are deriving their livelihood from the ocean. So we need to do more. We need to exploit it. Like the case in Nigeria coming here, you will now ask, where is the Institute for Oceanography and Marine Research? They need to be funded. They really need to be funded to create an interaction. If we understand the ocean, you understand tsunami, you understand earthquake, you understand a whole lot of things gathered together. So that is why we need to go beyond the 20% that we are currently exploring now to more than that, because the blue economy is what is sustaining the world now. It's a $1 trillion economy which the world is relying on now.
Now, briefly, you talked about the enormous value the ocean has. So how does this directly affect lives and livelihood?
Yes, first of all, food security. Food security, the planktons, if you have to survive, without the ocean, we cannot survive. Life is dependent on the ocean. Now, among the ocean, what we have here is the Atlantic Ocean. It's the saltiest of all the nations. That gives us an advantage. You also have 853-kilometer shorelines. These are big advantages that we need to exploit. But the School of Fishery, International Institute of Oceanography and Marine Research, need to come into the fray, need to come into the center stage and own all these processes. Because now that we're looking for money, those are the areas we can look like. You see, we cannot continue to stay by the side while the world is moving very fast in a particular direction. Nigeria has all it takes. They have all the resources, human and everything. So why don't we key into this ocean as a resources to be able to use it?
So having known all this, before I let you go, what can be done to maximize the benefits accruable from the ocean and, of course, give the ocean its pride of place in the world?
Is to empower the institutions. Is to empower the institution, because there's a fishery policy which has been on for the past 6 years before the National Committee on Fishery. That needs to be given acceleration and sign, because whatever is coming out there, like I told you before, is adding the marine is adding 1.6% to your GDP, and the fishes are adding 3.5% to your GDP. So that is enormous from where we are now. If that one is being shored in, definitely we are going to make a lot of progress.
Well, thank you so much, Vice Marshal Kenneth Yamu. Thank you so much for your time with us.
Thank you very much.
Well, this is the news on NTA International. More reports after the break. Do stay with us.
Our boss was like, a decent fashion designer only gets home at midnight. Midway.
Man like Osime, Papa just the chop Italian league like Oha.
These are real housewives of Abuja. Those women are fire. What does OJ say again? A relationship with money is alhamdulillah.
Because they wear uniform, you want to treat people anyhow. Imagine this officer, I will clear out online.
Don't cost.
Bruh, come on there. Face no matter. The biggest dragon for Westeros, now is small picking face arm, blind bomb. Right arm like Formula 1. Here, catch me.
He found the gold and asked her for just shaking me piece of the pie, and she killed him for it.
Obini, fair women, no.
No one tells a story like we do. Showmax, Africa's original streaming service.
Latest entrant, latest technology. Welcome to Intel 4G LTE Advanced and experience super fast internet access today. Visit intel.com.ng or any of our stores in Lagos, Abuja, and Port Harcourt to get started. Intel. Live more.
The federated state of Jigawa and Zinder region on the cross sides of Nigeria and Niger Republic have signed bilateral ties to promote cooperation in cross-border security, trade, pastoralism and agriculture for the socio-economic development of the two sides. Mohammed Musa Askira reports that the agreement was reached after 3 days of extensive meetings.
The meetings are superintended by Governor of Jigawa State, Mala Umar Namadi, represented by his deputy Aminu Usman Yakub, and that of Zinda region, Lawali Amadou Madugu. The memoranda of understanding signed by the two parties were a follow-up to a series of bilateral engagements in the areas of boosting trade relations and infrastructure development along migratory Zinda routes to facilitate free movements of goods and services, particularly around the migratory export processing zone. Issues bordering farmers and herders dispute, transhuman movements in line with the ECOWAS protocol, and the pursuance of healthy economic relations between the two neighboring countries through the border states of Jigawa and Zindar were thoroughly discussed.
By signing this agreement, we are going to have a control on the livestock that are coming into the country, and most especially those that are coming to spoil a lot of people's crops, and which are causing a lot of problems.
The essence of this agreement is to achieve cross-border of livestock movement without fear, to improve local markets and thereby economy between the two regions, and third, to favor social and cultural relationship within the two regions.
There are a lot of benefits ranging from the livestock, transform and human beings, goods and services, that are essential between the two countries.
The new MOUs, which focus on the 5-year action plan, are expected to control the seasonal activities of herders until when farmers in Nigeria are done with their harvest, improving the living standards of the border communities and accelerating economic activities for mutual benefits between the two countries through Jigawa and Zindar province. From Dutse, Muhammad Musa Askira, NTA News.
Now, the Presidential Election Petition Court says it will rule on objection to the admissibility of Atiku's subpoenaed witnesses' statements raised by President Tinubu, INEC and APC Council in the final judgment. Austin Anyebe reports that this was the decision of the court after Council agreed or argued on the ground of the objection.
Tendering of the subpoena witnesses' statements by Chris Uche, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, was challenged by Wole Olanipekun, Abubakar Mahmood, and Lateef Fagbemi, all Senior Advocate of Nigeria, who are counsel to the respondents in the petition challenging the outcome of the February 25th election. It was argued that admitting the written statements not followed in the petition contradict paragraph 4, subsection 5, ABC of the first schedule to the Electoral Act 2022, as amended, citing several Supreme and Court of Appeal decisions on the matter. But Chris Uche, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, contended that all their citations support his position and urged the court to discountenance their argument and overrule their objections. He cited some provisions of the Federal High Court rules which support his case. At the end of their argument, the court ruled that it will give its ruling during the final judgment. To this end, the petitioners proceeded to call two subpoena witnesses who were INEC ad hoc staff during the February 25th election. They include one Egwuma Omachunu Friday, who served as presiding officer of polling unit 017 Ward 3, Aba North, Abia State, and one Grace Timothy of Dawaki Village, Kante local government area in Plateau State. They told the court during cross-examination that the exercise in their polling units went smoothly, but after collation of results, they could not upload results to the IREV, hence snapped the results and handed it together with other sensitive materials to the ward presiding officers. Atiku Abubakar has so far called 13 witnesses as a Thursday sitting, with more to be called Friday 9th June 2023. At Thursday sitting, the presidential candidate of Labour Party, Peter Gregory Obi, continued with presentation of more witnesses and tendering of relevant certified true copies of electoral materials obtained from the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to prove his case of electoral fraud in the February 25th, 2023 presidential election. In Abuja, Austin Anyebe, NTA News.
Now, farmers in Nigeria have appealed to the federal government to consider their plight while negotiating and providing palliative to cushion the effect of fuel subsidy removal. The farmers and an umbrella of commodity associations pledged support for government policies and programs towards boosting the country's food production. Musa Bali reports.
Issues relating to subsidy removal and measures to cushion its impacts have been on the front burner under the present administration. Negotiations between labor leaders and trade union organizations are being intensified to ensure the support of Nigerians for the initiative by the federal government and make a positive way forward. But farmers believe that they also have a crucial role to play, considering the amount of fuel needed in food production and processing value chain daily.
The withdrawal of the subsidy, even the discussions ongoing, farmers are not on the table. It's only the same urban-based farmers, and then whatever palliatives are likely to come will go straight to them.
Apart from the request for palliative, they also appealed for the release of funds for 2023 wet season farming activities.
The much celebrated Anko program has ceased, and the farmers are left to their own designs. And then, of course, like we said, the devastating flood has robbed them of even the little that they could have had, from their small efforts, through their little savings and whatever they could scavenge. Now another rain is here.
There is also appeal on the need for government to review and improve on the central bank Anko Borrowers program.
As of today, a bag of fertilizer is 50,000, and most of the small-scale women farmers at the rural areas, they can't afford that.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu during his inauguration said enabling environment will be provided to farmers to scale up food production and poverty eradication in rural areas. Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
The federal government has declared Monday, June 12, 2023, public holiday in commemoration of this year's Democracy Day celebration. The Permanent Secretary Minister of Interior, Dr. Oluwatoyin Akinlade, who made the declaration on behalf of the federal government, congratulates all Nigerians on this occasion. Nigeria's democratic journey has, like in many other climes, encountered both stormy and smooth sails, but the ship of state, its institutions, and most importantly, the Nigerian people have remained steadfast on the tenets of democratic governance. On this memorable occasion, therefore, Nigerians and friends of Nigeria are invited to appreciate the progress that has been made, celebrate the milestones covered, and look forward to a better future for the country's democracy. And this is where the news on NTA International ends. I thank you so much for watching. My name is Justin Bemunyi, and Taiwo Ozoma has been the sign language interpreter. I will say bye for now.